Hi, very good evening. So, how are you all doing? So, Friday we'll have a general session on the topic Love Your Work. It's very challenging to understand this scenario. So, for us to understand this statement easily, we'll go through one life history and see what happens if you start loving what you do, right? Okay, so before that, think it is streaming fine, right? Do you have any issues with streaming? Yeah, just give me 2 minutes. Yes, so love your work, love what you do. So have you heard of Colonel Sanders anytime? Colonel Sanders, Sanders. Hi, very good evening. Yes. So, have you heard of Colonel Sanders? You might have seen his pic. I'm sure all of you might have seen his pic. I'm sure all of you might know him either directly or indirectly. Okay. Yeah, hi, a very good evening, all of you. So, today we're going to go through the life history and achievements of Colonel Sanders, and I'll reveal his identity or what he is famous for at the end of the session. I mean, in the meantime, if you can really guess, so that would be great. Anyways, we'll go through life history of Colonel Sanders and see what happens or why we should start loving what we do, right? So, Sanders was born in 1890 in US. When he was 6 years old, his father passed away, leaving Sanders to cook and care for his siblings. In 7th grade, he dropped out of school and left home to go work as a farmhand, already turning into a tough cookie. At age of 16, he fakes his age to enlist himself in the United States Army. And after being honorably discharged a year later, he got hired by a railway as a laborer. However, he got fired for fighting with a co-worker. While he worked for the railway, he studied law until he ruined his legal career by getting into another fight. Sanders was forced to move back with his mom and get a job selling life insurance. And guess what? He got fired for insubordination. So he was not really friendly to work with. But this guy wouldn't give up. In 1920, Sanders creates or he founds a company by the name of Ferry Boat Company. Later, he tried cashing in his ferry boat business to create a lamp manufacturing company, only to find out that another company already sold a better version of his lamp, and he couldn't really make money out of his company. It wasn't until age 40 that he began selling chicken dishes in a service station. As he began to advertise his food, an argument with a competitor resulted in a deadly shootout. 4 years later, he bought a motel which burned to the ground along with his restaurant. Yet this determined man rebuilt and ran a new model of a restaurant until World War II forced him to close it down. Following the year, he tried to franchise his restaurant. His receipt was rejected 1009 times. I'm not really sure how they're going to count these rejections, but it's given that his receipt was rejected 1009 times. As I said, he's a cook, right? Before anyone could accept it. And Sanders' secret recipe was coined as Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, and quickly became a hit. However, the booming restaurant was crippled when there was some competition from others as well. After years of failures and misfortune, Sanders finally hit it big. He makes it big and expands KFC internationally, and ultimately sells his company for $15.3 million in today's market value. Even today, Sanders remains central in KFC's branding, and his face still appears in the logo. If you remember, a man with white beard and a coat, and his goatee, white suit and western string tie continue to symbolize delicious country fried chicken all over the world. At age 90, Sanders passes away from pneumonia. He's also diagnosed with acute leukemia at age 90. At that time, there were around 6,000 KFC locations in 48 countries. And as on 2013, there were an estimated 18,000 KFC locations in 118 countries, which is quite amazing. And if you are overwhelmed by rejection and discouraged by setbacks, see what happens if you start loving what you do. He used to sell this fried chicken roadside in Kentucky. Ultimately, the term Kentucky Fried Chicken was coined later, and KFC now is an international brand. And Sanders says, I made a resolve then that I was going to amount to something if I could, and no hours, nor amount of labor, nor amount of money would deter me from giving the best that there was in me. And he says, I had only two rules. First one, do all you can and do it the best you can. Do all you can possible and do it the best you can. It's the only way you ever get that feeling of accomplishing something. And he says, no much amount of time or no hours, nor amount of labor, nor amount of money would deter me from giving the best that there was in me. You got to like your work. Most importantly, you got to love your work. You have got to like what you're doing. You have got to be doing something worthwhile so you can like it, because it is worthwhile that it makes a difference, don't you see? And he says, I'm totally against retiring. The thing that keeps a person alive, man or woman, is having something to do. And there is no reason to be a richest man in the cemetery. You can't do anything or any business from there. So this is, in brief, the life history of Colonel Sanders, who invented this secret recipe. It is still secret, where they cook fried chicken in a pressurized container, and it's a hit worldwide. And you know, KFC is an international brand, expanding or spreading in several countries with thousands of branches. And I heard that in order to take a franchise, KFC franchise, it costs right now in Indian currency some 1 or 2 crores only for buying or using their franchise name. So that's what happens ultimately when you start loving what you do. So that's what he says. You love and you try to give your best, and ultimately, obviously, you're going to have that sense of satisfaction. It's not just for money, it's not just how you're spending your time, but it's the amount of love you incorporate in what you're doing. And that ultimately is going to give the best quality possible. And he is none other than Colonel Sanders, the inventor of the secret recipe, Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. So how many of you have been to KFC restaurant at least once? And KFC is one of my favorite. Yes, we have even vegetarian items in KFC. We used to go hang out with friends, and 1 or 2 of our friends used to be pure vegetarians. They used to have these veg burgers. We used to have a burger with a potato layer in between. Even that used to be very tasty. Once a week, that's wonderful. I should consider you very lucky. Niharika, you're very lucky to have KFC once a week, because here we have it very rare. I mean, we have local imitations here like DFC. A lot many FCs are available here. Yes. Yeah, Sirisha, hi. So today we have launched our second grand test also. We made it live. I hope you have noticed, right? So second grand test on December 1st, and we'll be having a third grand test on December 15th. Okay. And December 30 we'll have our fourth grand test, and Jan 2nd or 3rd, depending upon the time availability and based on the feedback, we'll have our final grand test then. Right? Okay, so Abhishek, you tried once. Good. Now, let's take a small poll and see what kind of feedback we can get here. You have completed your your undergraduation, or most of you might be in final year, or maybe those who are watching, you might be in internship, right? So how many of you frankly love what you're doing? You are into dentistry, right? So how many of you really love your work? It can be cavity preparations, it can be denture constructions, or it can be appliance fabrication, anything, any work related to dentistry. How many of you frankly love your work? Barbie, Sharma, Regina, Preeti, Abhishek, Nida, Neetu, Ava, Prerna. Yes, you all love dentistry, you love practicing dentistry, that's really impressive. And Bapatla, Sai, Shruti loves doing the RCT, Sophia loves dentistry. Srish loves endo. You like more endo because it's more gain in terms of monetary terms? Maybe. Barbie loves making occlusal rings. Okay. Why is there any specific reason? You love molding wax? So Niharika loves endodontics. Good. Falguni, you love dentistry. Good. Falguni loves prosto. Shyamla loves prosto. Good. Endo is my personal favorite, obviously. That's the reason I've done my post-graduation in endo. Conservative dentistry and endodontics. Yes, Suresh. Obviously, in the first and second year, we are fed up with carvings and all. Obviously, we are frustrated with all the preclinical work. And once you start practicing, once you start your clinicals, then you'll know the importance of what you're doing, isn't it? Good. And Preeti loves extraction and endo, but both are contradictory, right? You should either save or you should either extract. No one for ortho, because ortho are not that much familiar at the UG level, right? Yeah. I mean, once you start seeing the results clinically, obviously you'll start loving any branch, but everyone will have their own personal favorite. So Regina loves to extract teeth with a hammer to children. Then in that case, Regina, parents might file a case. So don't take periodontics. Shanti likes ortho. So it's good to see that, okay, it can be dentistry or it can be endo, ortho or perio. No one said perio, by the way. So you obviously love, right? Yeah. So once you start loving it, once you start practicing it, you'll obviously reflect the same love towards what you're doing. And ultimately, it's all about serving mankind, as Ishiti rightly said. Humankind, to be more appropriate. Again, if we start using mankind, then feminists obviously will get angry. It's humankind. And if you see any person, any successful person who is doing really good in their respective fields, you obviously see the love which they put in, the amount of hard work, the amount of dedication and commitment which comes out is purely nothing but the reflection of our love towards what we are doing, isn't it? As Colonel Sanders rightly says, it's not the time, it's not the money, but it's our willingness to give the best at what we are doing. It's because of pure love, because you know what output is going to be. you know its consequences, you know how good it's going to do, like how better the result is going to be. So obviously, you will give your best, isn't it? So to love your work, you should understand what you're doing. You should understand the work first. You wish MDS was all about mastering every department? Fingers crossed. Falguni, how to study pharma, important topics from pharma. I'll just go through my previous video, Mastering Pharmacology. That's what I've been discussing with my UG students also today. Usually we have this fear towards the names of drugs. So we can have various code words in order to remember different drugs or different categories of drugs. And the best thing which I usually say is, I used to practice the same. Master at least or memorize at least one classification per day. So at the end of 15 days, 20 days or even after a month, you will be mastering almost all the drug classifications. For example, if you remember one drug classification today and make a note of it. So tomorrow, it has to be the previous day's drug classification and a new drug classification. So cumulative fashion, if you can go through all the classifications, the most important thing here is it's not just about memorizing drug names, but having an idea like which drug comes under which classification gives you enormous confidence. It gives you a feeling that yes, I know what's in there. So that will act as a starting point for you to further proceed into the details of the subject. So that's what we used to practically implement, and that's what I advise my students as well. So go through the previous video which I've made in YouTube and uploaded that, Mastering Pharmacology. Go through that, and if you have any specific queries, drop them to my mail, right? And you have any general questions, please drop them. And anything in general, you want to share your views, I'll definitely read out for all our subscribers. We can have a better understanding, right? Better understanding of each other. It's just 20 minutes. We'll do it for another 10 minutes max. Okay. Shipra says she loves dentistry. Good. Prerana. Prior I joined dentistry, it was like just 20 plus 32, but now it's like it has no end. And as we get to know subjects in detail, it just makes me fall for dentistry more and more, which is really very interesting to read, Prerana. That's 100% true. We assume that it's all just about 20 plus 32 or just about dealing with teeth, but as we go on, as you rightly mentioned, there is an ocean waiting for us. Wonderful. If you have a story of success in old age, please make a conversation about him. We have none other than Jack Ma. We have numerous other personalities also. We discussed last week about Jack Ma, who started seeing success after 35, 40. And Colonel Sanders, he is an example for an old guy who achieved success late in his life. So you have two examples right now itself. Yes, Falguni, you're welcome. So Regina, you see, you have a friend who has children and he is 35, but he doesn't believe that he can't crack NEET. He is in depression. Okay, so when you asked your friend to go through my videos, he says all stories are about young successful people, and that's totally wrong. That's totally wrong. It's not just about successful people. There is no definition or there is no hard and fast rule in nature that success is proportional to age or inversely proportional to age. No such relation, isn't it? Okay, ask your dear friend to contact me via mail. We'll have a conversation, right? Manojna says, find the story of Karoli Takas. Okay. Yes, Regina, last week's general topic here is Jack Ma, the father of Alibaba. Good. So I guess most of you who answered, you love endodontics. Is it because of the passion for the work you have, or is it because of the thinking process that doing endo fetches you more money? So what's the reason for you to love endo? Srish says passion. Good. Falguni. Sirisha is clever. She says both. Okay. Falguni, you're a very kind person. I always get motivated from your videos. Glad to hear that, Falguni. My best wishes to you. Yes. Hedgehog concept behind endo. Good. No one can just say like money is not important, obviously, isn't it? You have to be passionate, you should have that ability to work, and you should have a decent economic model on which you can sustain your activity, right? So Hedgehog is all about that. So Regina, you say I gave a passion to you to love endo. Okay. I started loving endo because of my professors, Dr. Sunil and Sujana. From there I started loving this work and I started enjoying it, but later on it's a different story. So after endo, I'm not practicing endo now. I became a teacher again. With time you'll realize certain things. With time you'll definitely realize what you like and what you're doing out of passion, isn't it? So that's what the story of, inspiring story of Color Sanders says. Age doesn't matter. This is a classic example to state that success has nothing to do with age. In fact, success is how you perceive things. It depends on your expectations also. At the age of 40, 45, in spite of facing all the difficulties, hardships, failures, this guy keeps on going and ultimately goes on this franchise spree and spreads his brand and sells his brand for millions of dollars and spreads his brand in countries throughout the world. You can see by 2010 it's estimated that there are around 18,000 KFC outlets in more than 100 countries worldwide. So what do you call that? It's just awesome, amazing, isn't it? That's what Color Sanders gives us true inspiration, like what happens when you start loving more. I mean, you can just throw him aside saying that he used to sell chicken roadside in a place called Kentucky. But now, the moment we say KFC, just something strikes your mind, right? It's a brand, international brand, quality food. Okay, prices are not so economical, but the food quality is great. I'm not saying it's healthy. I don't say it's healthy, but regarding the quality, right? So I'm talking about the quality of food, the way in which they serve things, and that itself makes a brand. Brand is something which is having some values being followed, right? And it says it follows two rules. Do what all you can do. Whatever you can do, do it. And give the best when you're doing something. So these are the two rules which Colonel Sanders states. And it says, no hours, nor amount of labor, nor amount of money would deter me from giving the best that was there in me. If you are destined to do something good from your side, as we say, everyone is unique. Everyone has their own potential to make some difference in the world they are living in, so you have to fulfill that potential. If you're not fulfilling that potential, you're doing injustice, a grave injustice to yourself. And you got to love your work, you have to go to like what you're doing, you have got to be doing something worthwhile so you can like it because it's worthwhile, that it makes a difference, don't you see? And he says there is no concept of retiring. I mean, if you're idle, you'll feel bored. You have something to do, you'll stay active and healthy. And finally he says there is no reason to be the richest man in cemetery, graveyard, because you can't do any business from there. So you have to have that fulfillment, sense of satisfaction from what you have been doing. And as I said, as I mentioned before you sleep, how satisfied you feel and how excited you get up every day early in the morning. So these two things I feel personally really matters the most, because once you start having this feeling, it means you're going on a wonderful path and you're going to make a huge difference, not just in your life but in the life of others as well, right? So this is about Colonel Sanders. I hope you enjoyed the story. I recommend you going through life histories, the success stories of various people have achieved, and also, as Jack Ma rightly said, it's not just about going through success stories, because success stories, more or less, if you see for the past couple of weeks which we have been doing general sessions, more or less you'll find the same message being delivered, right? So you should be committed, passionate, you should love what you do, you should have that passion, you should feel excited, you should have that sense of satisfaction. These are all common qualities which success or successful people do have. But go through the failure stories which tell you failures, like you'll know why they have failed, and you'll know what precautions you can take in order to avoid those mistakes. That is from the experiences of others, and you can start building your own world, your own dream world, isn't it? So Prerna says, I see my intern friends from MBBS, they are not allowed to do procedure and have to work under PG for even to prescribe a single drug. That's true. That's what we even keep on highlighting, Prerna. That's a very wonderful point you make. In fact, we're so lucky that right from our undergraduation itself, right from our third year of BDS itself, we are allowed to work on patients. I mean, that itself gives most of us a lot of excitement, and we start loving subject of dentistry from then itself, isn't it? It feels proud that dentistry toughs us to deal with patients and even gives us chance to do procedures. And entering clinicals is just what makes people love dentistry. Exactly, Prerna. So ultimately, it's all about, it can be teaching, it can be research, whatever it is, ultimately it points out towards working for patients, working for humanity, isn't it? Wonderful. Wonderfully put, Prerna. So if your dentistry is advancing every day, more challenging and more interesting and most important. Good. It has given us an identity in society. Sophia, yes, that's true. Yes, Neetu, so you simply put the words Java said. Wonderful. Wake up with determination, sleep with satisfaction. Okay. Right. So it's 30 minutes. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. So we'll have at least one general discussion every week so that we can share our views and we can understand each other much better. And as I say, ultimately it's to spread positivity and hope, and so that we enjoy ourselves, and most importantly, give a positive message to everyone who is watching this. Okay, so this week had been wonderful so far for me, and I hope it's been wonderful for you also. So come up with new ideas, we'll try to implement the same, and we'll try to improvise as we move on while doing our live sessions or recorded videos. And you have any questions, any general questions, any guidance, you can drop them always around the clock at proudtobedentist@gmail.com, right? Yes, Prerna, that's true. Okay, so see you all next week again. Next Wednesday, we'll start with our the routine way of discussions. We'll have one MCQ discussion, one image-based discussion. Also, we'll have SAQs, and we'll also have this online test format sessions, right? So I hope you'll give your best. And you have limited time, 30-35 days. Just focus on giving your best. Don't listen to what others say. Don't even listen to, you can listen, but don't just fall in trap, right? So believe in yourself. So you're going to do wonderful, right? So you have this time, so this is your opportunity, right? Don't let it go away. So make most use of the time. Stay motivated, stay determined. As Neetu has rightly pointed out, sleep with satisfaction, wake up with determination. And if you have any trouble in managing your preparation, drop a mail. I'll do whatever I can from my side also, right? Give your best. Most importantly, Give your best. Do all that you can do, as Colonel Sanders rightly said. Do all that you can do now. Stop complaining. Let's stop complaining. Let's do all that we can do now, and let's do that in the best way possible. Let's give our best. Okay. Yes. Wonderful, Prerna, and wonderful everyone who involved actually in discussion. It's always pleasure interacting with you all, right? So see you all next week. Bye. Love you all. Take care. Good night. Spokojno noć.